All right, guys. Today I have Zach Montandon of Gold Stripe Coffee, nice little coffee shop over in Cactus Alley. Which, if you're looking for it, what would you say? How would you tell people to? Because it's almost hidden, but not.
Yeah.
It's like wide open.
Right. So we usually tell people that it's just west of Grace Clinic, off of Marcia Sharp.
West of Grace Clinic, off of Marcia Sharp.
Yeah.
And then you'll see this big old thing. It looks like an apartment complex. I actually lived over there for a year. Thought it was an apartment. Never went in.
Yeah.
So it's Cactus Alley, and it's this nice, huge shopping center that looks like an apartment building west of Grace Clinic, off of Marcia Sharp. And you'll see it, go in. Everybody there's amazing. So stop by, get coffee, and then make your rounds. So pretty awesome. So kind of tell us what your business model actually is, what you do.
So our business model consists of three main categories. The primary category that my brother and I as business partners are interested in is being a resource business to business with everything coffee. So we sell commercial coffee equipment, we sell wholesale coffee locally roasted here in Lubbock, and we do staff training. We do staff training for other places that are wanting to serve coffee. So we've done the staff training for Yellow House when they opened.
Okay, cool.
For Sugar Browns when they opened, for Healthy Essentials, and the Pie Bar. Those are a few of our startup barista training contracts that we had done, and some of them are now wholesale accounts where we supply them with coffee.
Nice.
So that pretty much sums up the business to business aspect of our plan.
And that's your primary focus, right? That's probably what you want 80% of your business to be.
Right. So that's what we perceive as the most scalable and honestly the most interesting to us, to give us the most joy out of what we do. Helping other people succeed, helping other people learn from our mistakes and our experience through the process. And then another aspect of our business is direct to consumers. We have a retail space there in the Cactus Alley Courtyard Shopping Mall. And the idea for that space is to let people try our coffee, as well as be a specialty coffee store where they can buy coffee grinders, they can take coffee classes, they can try our coffee, and they can experience different ways of preparing coffee. So in that realm, one of the primary target audiences that we see are home coffee enthusiasts. So people that are us 7 years ago who just can't get enough of their morning coffee routine and how they can craft an amazing experience at home, and we want to empower people to do that. And so that's kind of what our focus of the tasting room in Cactus Alley is around, where we host also free coffee tastings on Thursday mornings.
Thursday at 9, don't miss it. Free coffee tastings, and those are primarily what kind of beans? What are you doing there? As far as the taste, like are they new roasts you're trying out?
Primarily it's our weekly production roasted coffees. So it's going to be the coffees we've roasted on Wednesday. People can try all of the coffees that we offer. They can pick the ones that they prefer, their favorites, so then they have an informed decision of which bag they want to buy without having to just read and guess based on the description. Sometimes we'll be roasting and sampling new coffee offerings, but that's a little less common for the weekly routine. And then the final aspect of our business came from what we started our business as espresso bar caterers. So we go to weddings, we go to big church events, expos, we go to office events, so nurse appreciation or teacher appreciation, and we do a 2-hour espresso bar service where we make everything to order, everything's made fresh, we put the little hearts on top of the lattes, and it's unlimited drinks for 2 hours.
That sounds like something that would be pretty hot for like, what is it, the bridal showers and stuff.
Yeah,
you know? And so that sounds like something they'd enjoy a lot, you know, unlimited coffee.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So that's, so you've got those three aspects, those are the three aspects, right, of the business itself? Awesome. And so currently, in order to kind of help your business grow, what would you need right now? Like, what are you looking for?
So one of the next big things we're looking for is a space that we can consolidate our roasting operation with our tasting room storefront, to where people can come in and experience all of what we're doing, where now our roasting operation is separate from our storefront, which I think creates a disconnect when we communicate to people what we're doing without having the big awesome equipment there. They're not able to quite understand what it is that's different about our business as a coffee business.
Gotcha, because they're just like, oh, great coffee shop, delicious coffee, you know, awesome little products.
Yeah.
And so they're not understanding, yeah, we're roasting here. So you want more of one of those big roasting rooms, and they'd come in, see the beans, smell them coming off the line, kind of almost hopefully it's not an insult, a Krispy Kreme. Lights on, we're roasting,
Yep.
come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that would be, oh, that sounds awesome, man. That's fantastic. So you actively looking for a space?
Yeah.
Okay. And so if somebody's out there that has a nice space that would fit it perfectly, how big is this equipment? How much room are we talking about? Maybe thinking.
I think we're looking for a minimum of 2,000 square foot.
Mhm.
And at this point where we're at, I would say a maximum of 4,000 is what we're currently basing our search on. We're currently operating in 1,100 square foot total, so 700
That's
square
because
feet.
you've expanded.
Right, so 700 square feet is our tasting room, 350 square feet is our roastery currently.
Nice. Okay, cool. So kind of talk a little bit how you got started. So of course you said you were a coffee enthusiast.
Yeah.
So actually transitioning from that to roasting, was
Yeah.
that kind of something you started on the side? You bought a little roaster at home? How'd that start?
Yeah, so maybe to even go back a little further, my brother and I just grew up loving coffee. When we both moved to Lubbock, we just started applying to all the coffee places we could. And I got my first job at Starbucks. My brother got his first job at the original Sugar Browns on 50th Street. And he was wanting to have a coffee business. And his boss at the time helped us get started as a coffee catering service. And the goal was to grow that to the point where we thought we could move into a store as a coffee shop. That's just kind of what I assumed would be the path. But in catering for 2 years, you know, and working at local coffee shops with that business being a side business, I think we learned a lot about the industry and what other opportunities are out there. And the biggest opportunity that we saw, or the biggest need to be filled in Lubbock, I think, is for a local specialty coffee roaster. And that was what we were most interested in, but had the least experience in. All of our experience up to that point had been in preparing and serving drinks and managing staff at the coffee shops that we'd worked at. So we bought a small home roaster.
Okay.
And read as many.
How old were y'all at this time?
We were, that would have been 2015, January of 2015. So I was 24 and my brother was 27.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you got that started. Continue. So you got the little roaster.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just started burning up as much coffee as we could and learning from our mistakes. We bought a lot of coffee roasting books, reading blogs and forums and videos, and trying to learn as much as we could to learn how to produce the product that we had experienced in other amazing coffee companies around the nation. So we'd had some experience when we went through our barista training in Chicago under Intelligentsia. So we've had really great coffees from around the United States, as well as our time in Mexico and elsewhere. So we wanted to bring that to Lubbock. We wanted to be able to produce that, and so we were roasting 10 hours on Monday, 10 hours on Wednesday, to have just enough to take and share our product at the farmer's market.
Wow.
And,
so you were still working full time, both y'all at Starbucks
Yeah.
and Sugar Browns.
Yeah, at the
You roasted 10 hours on your days off.
Yeah.
Okay, just to go to the farmer's market, which were Fridays or Saturdays?
Saturdays.
Saturdays.
Yep.
And what do you mean just enough? So you were still using the little roaster at the
Right.
time?
So that was that was enough to have 20 little bags of coffee, because we could only roast a pound an hour was our capacity. So very little output, but it was a start for us to have something to start sharing with people.
Did you ever use marketing of small batch? Is that kind of something that y'all did?
A little bit,
that was always pretty big, right? With the whiskeys and stuff right now. It's like small batch roasting.
Right. And the big thing with that is not the capacity of what you're roasting, but in our case, it's roasting enough to keep it fresh. So we don't roast a lot and leave it on the shelf. We want to roast enough just for what is being ordered, so that when we get it in the customer's hands, it's fresh. So it's more work on our part to only fill the orders that we have, instead of using our full capacity of our commercial roaster. But fortunately, we were able to move away from that small home roaster and buy a commercial roaster 6 months later.
And how exciting was that? Was that pretty amazing? Because that sounds like something that would just like get me super like, finally.
Yeah, so we went from a capacity of 1 pound per hour to 45 pounds per hour.
Okay, big difference there.
Big difference. And so for that, transitioning from home roasting to a commercial roaster, we traveled down to Brown Coffee Company in San Antonio and did some commercial roasting training under him.
Nice.
And bought a commercial roaster as well from him.
Okay. And so he showed you how to use it and everything. So it's a little, obviously a little bit different than the small roaster. So you were talking about a little bit more about how you were burning a lot of beans when you first started. Is this kind of why you do light roast mainly, or was it also a time consumption thing?
So
is that kind of the thought process there?
Well, when I say burning, it could be likened to learning to bake as well.
Of course, absolutely. I knew what you were doing. Yeah, it's all testing,
right?
Trial and error.
The coffees we were buying, we're paying for premium coffee. Like we're buying really great coffee, and then we're putting it into a roaster, an oven, a furnace. And so in my mind, I'm like, hope this turns out well as I put, $20 into it, and it just like goes away, So so for a while, before we had much roasting theory or much to go on, there just wasn't the quality, the output that we wanted. And so when I say burning it, we weren't getting out of it what we expected to. Of
course,
and so our approach to lighter roasted coffee is not so much a statement of the mistakes that we had been making, but more to caramelize the sugars that are in the coffee and feature the natural tasting notes that are inherent in the coffee being grown by amazingly talented farmers, breaking their backs and putting everything into this product. And so our approach to roasting that is just to develop what's there and let the coffee speak for itself.
Nice. Okay, so the light roast itself is more for people to actually have that coffee taste. So many people grow up with this really crappy coffee. They just like scoop it in. They think 30 scoops, like, I like strong coffee. They don't know what they're talking about. Like an actual good coffee flavor comes from a light roast, because you're actually getting that coffee flavor and more caffeine. Which most people don't even know. Yeah, I learned that from you. Thank God.
So, any coffee that you enjoy is important, but for
Folgers.
Well, I grew up on Folgers. That was my first love. But for me, it's supposed to taste like cardboard, and I don't expect anything but that.
Okay. Low standards. I like it.
But when I'm brewing like high quality coffee and expecting high quality coffee, I just disassociate those two as being the same coffee or the same thing. The idea is that we want to feature the best coffees that we have found in the way that we found them. We know we're not going to please everyone,
of course,
but we want to share something that we find to be amazing and special.
Yeah, and I absolutely do. And so do, I remember the last time I walked into your store, I don't even think you were there, it was your brother Zane, and somebody's like, they told me to come here, best coffee in Lubbock, man. I was like, there you go, word of mouth, man. That's some powerful stuff right there.
Yeah.
So, and I love all the unique things that you do with your coffee. I had what was it? It was like a condensed milk thing with the ice cube and the coffee. What was that?
Yeah, so that is Café Sada.
Sada. Okay.
So part of what we like to do with some of our specialty coffee beverages is feature the way it's consumed around the world. So sometimes we'll be innovative and kind of make up our own concoctions. That specific coffee beverage is traditional to the way it's consumed in Vietnam, which is a really strong coffee consumed with sweetened condensed milk. And so obviously we can't claim that ours is like authentic, but it's Vietnamese inspired Café Sada. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, because I heard there's something else. What do they pour in there? Because they don't have milk or whatever. It was like some kind of cheese or...
Well, I was thinking it's
nuts.
the sweetened condensed milk.
Oh, is that what they use? Okay.
Yeah. And so instead of half and half, they're just using sweetened condensed milk.
Which is really good with a concentrated coffee. It's a perfect balance.
It's
a little
delicious.
yin and yang there. I love it. So as you're going to start a business, was there ever like some fear in the back of the head, any kind of struggles that you dealt with? Because it kind of sounds like you just kind of went and didn't even think about it. It just kind of, this is what we're doing and we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people kind of sit back and they're like, I don't know if I want to go into business for myself. I like that secure check from work from a corporate guy.
Yeah, there was absolutely fear.
Okay.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, in talking about it this way, yeah, it does have the impression of being seamless and simple.
Yeah, it's like we started out here, we roasted on the weekends, and then kind of just blew up.
Yeah, and so I read cereal boxes and craft packaging and backstories very differently now on packaging when they say, oh, we started it this year and we grew to this time and we did this. And when you read it in a 15-second blurb, you're like, wow, it was just patchwork. It's just easy. And you forget that they're talking about 5 years of time in 15 seconds. And there's a lot of gaps to be filled. So absolutely, there was definitely some fear. But for me, it was a really key point was I had thought that our catering business, we had good, satisfied customers, and we expected that would really gain momentum and take off. But everything that we've done required us to take the initiative. It wasn't this, well, the business grew and we had to follow, which is how I feel that most people refer to it.
Yes.
And that just hasn't been my experience. And instead, it came to a crossroad for me when I graduated from Texas Tech, and I was thinking, what can we make of this? And I want to see if this will succeed, or I want to see this fail. Either way, I want a definitive answer to what could become of our dream. And so at that point, I had to quit my job and go full speed at this thing.
Yeah, so you have to go all in. So that's something that I find very, very important. A lot of people don't think. A lot of people like to have their leg, well, if this fails, then I can go back to that cushy, corporate job.
Yeah.
And you have to get rid of that.
Yeah.
You have to create that necessity, because that necessity breeds the innovation to inspire new ideas.
Yeah, and you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. And so if you're not putting in 40 hours, 60 hours, 80 hours a week, then you're only going to reap the benefits of the 3 hours, 5 hours that you're putting into it. And
absolutely. That's perfect, man. So did you have any naysayers in your life? Anybody that was like, this is not a good idea? How long have you been married?
I've been married 5 years.
Okay, so is anybody's like, you have a wife to think about, like you need to go get a job with your degree that pays, 50 grand a year, whatever it is?
No, I didn't have any of that in my immediate family or my close family.
Awesome.
My wife comes from a family of entrepreneurs.
Okay, so they understood.
My dad and mom were also really interested in self-employment. My dad was a farmer, and my mom had her own side business that she had done. So they understood the challenge, the drive, the interest, and so really from my family it was all encouragement. There was a time where I had to renegotiate the plans with my wife because initially the thought was that I would help my brother get this started, and that she and I would go about our normal kind of life plan to go back into mission work, working with the church. But the further I went, the more I was interested in seeing what could become of this, and I felt like I needed to see this through. And so once I had communicated that, it was mostly just expectations, being on the same page with her expectations wise, and now she's the one staying on top of me for our numbers, and she comes in and
Nice.
how many transactions did you have today?
Oh, wow. That sounds like my wife. How many people did you talk to?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. It's good to have a partner like that that's truly invested, truly cares.
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. So as far as that mission work stuff is concerned, Martin Luther King said, the Christian shoemaker doesn't do his duty by putting crosses on his shoes. He does it by making really good shoes. And is that kind of where you found yourself right now?
Absolutely.
You're like, I'm just putting, I share Christ through a cup of coffee kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of where mission work might be headed?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a big wrestle with God moment for me to choose what at the time felt like the lesser path, to go into business for myself instead of go into full-time ministry. And I've had to sort through that a lot and reevaluate how I believe God cares about us and how I believe that He cares about our interests. And I think that's summed up in, which of you people would give your child a snake when he asks for bread, right? And or a stone when he asks for bread. God knows how to give us good things, and He wants us to rely on Him for our desires. And we see that through the power of prayer and when Moses petitions with God to let up on his wrath against the people of Israel. So He definitely cares about what we want, and the way I feel that a lot of this has been summed up for me is that I believe we're created to create, and that by what I create, if I'm doing that in excellence, then I think that I'm living in one of the truest senses of being created by God, is to create something else.
So this sounds like something that you've wrestled with over the last 3 years. It's been pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Has it been a long enough period now, looking back, that you're able to see Him moving in that? Or
Yeah.
is it still kind of confusing, like, am I going to go here? Is this still the lesser calling?
Yeah. No, I absolutely do see Him moving. Most specifically, that just the people that I get to work with, the people that we have on staff, and the way that we can encourage them in how they manage their life, the way that they're organized, the way that they provide for themselves. So we try to work with our staff on how to budget and how to spend time purposefully with their families, and we try to encourage that as a way for our business to better the individual within it. And a big part as well with coffee is the opportunity to work and travel to developing countries and invest in those people's lives. And so in my mind, it's the perfect combination of world mission work with business, and the benefits that a business can be to other people's lives.
I love it. I love it. For me, my passion and my love for small business has really kind of come from, I don't see anything else in the world that kind of shows the gospel, of course, other than Christ, as a business, especially the free market that we have here, because if you do not serve well, it does not succeed.
Mm.
And that's kind of the beauty of it, and it bothers me so much that you see these companies that get, I guess, really showcased, like Enron, or whatever when they complain about Wall Street or bonuses or banks or whatever. It's like, no, that's not, like, they're failing for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, showcase these guys who are doing, like, for me, Chick-fil-A is it, how can I serve you? Like, there's a reason they make more money out of every restaurant than any other restaurant in the world. You know what I mean? And so, so I think that's pretty awesome, and I really that's what I love about business and all of that. Do you read? Is this something that you do regularly?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you reading right now?
Well, the book I just went through that is one of my favorite books I've ever read is called Thou Shalt Prosper.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, the rabbi, man. Go check it out.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember. Rabbi something.
Yeah, his name's escaping me.
Daniel
Lapin.
Lapin. There you go.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey's got it at the back of his head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It changed me inside.
Yes, absolutely. I think we have a lot of work to do on our perspective of what money is.
Yes.
And so that was a very, very good book for me. Another book I'm going through is The Power of Moments.
Okay.
Very good so far. It's been really encouraging.
So that's what you're reading right now. It's called The Power of Moments.
Yeah.
A pretty new-ish book.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is a new release book. It's very important, I think, for small businesses when you have to compete. I think more on the experience and less on the price. And so it has a lot to do with what can you set up in your business to create an unforgettable moment for everyone that comes in contact with your business.
I love it, because that's what they say. A lot of people, nobody really remembers what you say, they remember how you make them feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's so very, very important, especially when you're crafting a small business. And then navigating against the big boys. What books in the past have you read that really kind of transformed you and you kind of wrestled with? Because that was one of the ones for me.
Yeah.
Was that book.
Another one was the E-Myth.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm ashamed to admit that it took 4 years of having a business to ever read that book.
Okay.
That's one of the ones that I very much encourage when other people are talking to me about their business dreams before the fact, that I encourage them to read, because it was a hard path for me to realize that it takes a different skill set to run a business than to be good at producing a product.
Because for you and your brother, you really have to find a way eventually to step away from roasting and serving, and they don't need to be showing up for Zach and Zane, they need to be showing up for the product and the service and the store and stuff like that. Absolutely. I love the E-Myth. So kind of, do you have, I really feel that habits are something that are really big to help you be successful. Is there something that you do? Is there a morning routine that you run through every day, or a way that you run your business that you do well, that you feel you do really well at?
So I think I'm really good with people and communicating among our staff and getting their feedback, as well as speaking value into their lives, or speaking to them that I value them. And I think that's a really big part of why so far we've never had anyone quit. we've never had to fire anyone. We've never had anyone quit. So so that I think is something it's very important to give people reviews. So we have regular 6-month reviews where we have an organized time to sit down and talk to our staff about what we think they're doing really well, what we want them to do better, as well as open it up completely to their criticism of us or their feedback of us and what we can do better.
Man, if you maintain that as your business grows, you are just going to be unstoppable. Because that feedback is so important. So, of course, listen to the market, listen to your customer. What are they telling you they want? But also listening to your employees, because they're on the front ground, especially as you continue to go through this process of the E-Myth and working on the business and not in it.
Right.
And getting that, hey, what are y'all hearing? What do people want? What do they like? What do they do? And so, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's something that's so big. A lot of companies, I feel, could benefit from, even the big ones.
Yeah.
You know, hey guys, just a little bit of info. Are there any kind of like bad habits that you've had to kind of either kick or you're still working on kicking that are not beneficial to the business? You know?
Yeah, I think I don't value my time. And
Nice.
so that's been very difficult. I've treated myself as free labor, and I think that that is counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's counterintuitive to delegating and to working on the business, because if I value my time at 0, then I'm not conditioning that position to be replaced by another individual instead of myself when their time is worth something on payroll.
Yeah.
And so that's been a challenge for me to put a value on my time, to look at opportunity cost, and to dabble in the little things as a business owner instead of looking more at the bigger picture and trusting that when I delegate a task that that person can give more time to that than I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, putting that dollar value is so important, because it lets you know what it's worth.
Yeah.
And at that point, you can kind of look at him like, is it worth my time to do this thing that makes $1? No, I need to go do the $100 an hour things plus someone like, I think Paul talks about it, of course. I know he's talking about pastors, but pay him what he's worth.
Yeah.
Pay him for what the work he does.
Yep.
It's only right
Yep.
that you would do so. So that's awesome. And then finally, just challenges that you face in the business that you've kind of fixed.
Yeah.
What are those? What do those look like?
That I'm trying to fix?
Either trying or have.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little bit of wisdom, or like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things early on, avoid visibility pitches. For us, when we got started, everybody was wanting us to come and do work for free. They wanted us to just go and get our name out there in the name of like, oh, come and do this, it'll be great visibility. And we wasted a lot of time and money doing that. So my mantra now is great visibility comes from paying customers.
That's right.
Because
they've got some skin in the game.
They're invested, they value your time, as well as I tend to believe that people who are going to value your time associate with other people who are like-minded, and so that's the networks that you need to be in. And I think that was also a very hard lesson for me to learn when I just love what I do. And the path for me is that I love what I do, and I thought it would be really neat to make a living at it. And I love it so much that I'd be willing to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to make a living at it, I can't do it for free.
Exactly.
So,
wife needs a house.
Yeah.
That's also in there. And then, so what challenges are you facing right now that you're still trying to struggle? Kind of.
yeah, the challenges right now are tying all of these things together that we've been doing, that are working but are not optimized for efficiency. Like I was saying, we've got our roastery and our storefront, but by going the route of having those separate, because it was more affordable and is more affordable right now,
Mm-hmm.
it means that we have more labor to staff at 2 separate locations. We have gas to transition from one to the other and bring supplies and take supplies and go and receive pallet shipments of green coffee. And so I'm just experiencing some growing pains as we're seeing that this can't stay this way forever, and being willing and confident enough in that decision to put the next big step forward to paying for a bigger lease or buying a building or whatever that may be, but it's going to cost a lot more money than what we're currently doing, but in the long run I think it'll pay off, but my fear is playing into that in causing me to be very standoffish to that decision.
Yes, and I think one of the big things that Jessica Bernard talks about is that you're making calculated risk. You know, we're gonna pay it, it's gonna hurt, and then it's gonna roll from there.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. All right, man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.